Hello, students. It is September 6th, 2022, September 6th, 2022. The first time I've ever done one of these videos from inside my swimming pool. But if you live in Southern California, and if you have a swimming pool, and if it's 94 degrees, I think you are obligated to get inside that swimming pool. So here I am. Okay, update for JMS 494. The pack back for last week. Last week, the chapter was about the rule of law, and it was an overview about law in the United States and the way law functions. And I asked people, ask a pack back question based on that. And one question got eight responses. That was the most popular one. I'm going to show that here. I'm going to share my screen, show that. Yeah, this question right here by Alexi got 8 responses. Do you think Supreme Court members should be allowed to serve for an entire lifetime? Currently, in case you didn't know already, President of the United States nominates people for the Supreme Court. We currently have 9. That number is not actually set in the Constitution, but it kind of has been agreed upon that we're not going to go above 9. And the people serve for the rest of their life. And some people say that's a little too long. And then someone on PACBAC also pointed out that, when the Constitution was written, people's life expectancies weren't quite as long. So maybe putting someone on for life is just not a good thing because attitudes change and times change. And it's just granting too much power to one person to allow them to be on the Supreme Court. They could conceivably, easily be on for a couple of decades. And then if one president like Trump was able actually to get 3 people, that's 1/3 of the Supreme Court is people Trump handpicked. That's a great deal of power, and that power could go on for decades. And just a reminder, one of those Supreme Court picks should have gone to Obama because the vacancy happened under Obama, but the Republicans were able to block that and prevent Obama from getting it. They were clearly obstructionists in this case. They were clearly obstructionists to circumvent the Constitution, not let Obama have someone on the Supreme Court. So it worked out that Trump got 3, which gives great power to the president to be able to put people on the Supreme Court who could outlive his or her president. Let's say outlive their presidency. I think maybe there should be term limits, something like maybe 18 years. Someone in PACBAC said 18 years, maybe 20 years, and maybe we could stagger it so that every president, if a person's president for 4 years, they're guaranteed at least 1 Supreme Court pick. That seems fair to me. 2, if something unforeseen happens and someone dies. But, I think every president who's president for 4 years should get 1 pick at least, or maybe 2. And, however, I don't know the formula for that, but maybe we can stagger the terms of the Supreme Court justices. Maybe they serve 18 years, 20 years, something like that. I think we want to avoid the situation where Supreme Court justices are elected by popular vote, because the idea is to have the Supreme Court apart from popular opinion, which can change very quickly, and to just rule as objectively as they can on the facts of the law and to make things that are valid, reasonable, strong decisions that will stand the test of time, not to just, go along with whims, go along with fashion. So I think we need to remove as much as possible the Supreme Court judges from popular opinion. Now, there was another question. It was, is the rise of press coverage becoming a threat to the fairness of trials? Serena asked this question. Serena, this is not a new concern. It seems like a new concern. You're talking about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and social media. But Serena, I agree. This is a good question, but it's not a new concern. In Chapter 8, I believe it's Chapter 8 of this semester, we're going to talk about some historical cases where there was massive press coverage. I'm blanking on the doctor's name right now. Shepard, maybe? Was Shepard? Anyway, it inspired the TV show The Fugitive, which then inspired the movie The Fugitive. He was a doctor accused of murder. Massive, considered the trial of the century. Massive press coverage. So this concern has been around for a long time. I think social media has magnified it. And I do believe, Serena, I think I'm on your camp. I do believe that a lot of press attention can influence a trial. It's not supposed to, but judges are not immune to publicity. They don't live in a bubble. They don't live in a vacuum. And it's incredibly rare that people on a jury are totally sequestered. So people on a jury also will get the news. They will see the news, and that can influence. And if someone is falsely accused of a crime before a trial happens, there was the famous case of the Boston Marathon bombers. Some pictures were posted in tabloid newspapers, and people identified as the Boston Marathon bombers from a few years ago. They were totally innocent. So I believe that press coverage can influence a trial, but how would we limit that while still respecting the First Amendment and respecting the Constitution? That's a good question. And then finally, this is a question for this coming week. The current week, it's September 6th. I believe we're in module 3. It's about the First Amendment and different types of speech and different levels of protection that are given to speech. And Brenna, I think that's how you say your name, Brenna. Brenna asks the question, do you think it's fair for social media platforms to censor what people post as they see fit? They, I believe, is referring to social media platforms. Be careful about use of pronouns. I think they is referring to social media platforms, not users. Anyway, Brenna says, I don't think it's necessarily fair for social media platforms to censor what people post. I think a lot of people would agree with that, but Brenna, think now about every type of speech that's out there. There is child pornography. Obviously, we don't want to allow that. There are things that are direct, actionable threats. If I'm planning to murder someone and I want to coordinate with other people, I don't think we want that. If I have information like the access code to some gated community, someone's house, hey, break into this judge's house, here's the access code to his door, go in and kill this person, I don't think we want to allow that either. So I do think that there are certain limits that we have to enforce to be a civil and sane society. Where those limits are is a gray area. It's a matter of eternal debate. But yeah, I think social media should be a place for people to air opinions. I like Pepsi. I like Coke. I like Harry Styles. I like Chris Pines. I don't think Harry Styles spit on Chris Pines. I think he did. Those kind of opinions are okay. But when it crosses into other darker, more destructive areas of society, I think we have to have some limits. I think we have to have some limits. Anyway, that's a summary of the pack back from last week. One of the pack back questions from this week. And if I called you out, I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just trying to get some dialogue and discussion going. I really, really appreciate all the engagement and all the involvement. I really, really do. And to get credit, reminder to get credit for the packbacks, post a question, minimum curiosity score of 50, and it will tell you minimum curiosity score of 50, post 2 responses, and also the responses have to have a minimum curiosity score of 50. Post by the deadline for this week. That means it's Friday, September 9th, 11:59 p.m., basically midnight. Post by Friday night. And if you click the packback link in the module, don't come into packback through some circular way and backdoor your way into packback. Just click the assignment link in the module and it should sync up. And the synchronization between your packback grade and your Canvas grade should happen after the deadline. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on it. And there's also 2 video lectures for this week. They both deal with the First Amendment and different distinctions of speech. And again, if I picked on your post to talk about, it was just to get the dialogue going. I really do appreciate all the engagement. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. And I managed not to get my computer wet.